It is basically exactly what you think it is. Like there's no cheating involved. They really do, they go through everything. They are awesome. They never ever tell you what to do, what to say, anything like that. They want you being completely you, being honest. They try not to affect you at all out there. Welcome to the first of, I hope, several AMA sessions. Ask me anything, ask me sort of anything, because I can't give out spoilers and things like that. But what I can do is answer all the questions that I can easily answer without spoiling the show, because it hasn't started airing. So you guys asked some really awesome questions, and I'm super excited to finally be able to answer them. I had a really nice spot picked out on the side of this river, way over here. And I had everything set up, and I was out filming B-roll, and then it turns out there was ticks every place. So I had ticks all freaking over me. And now I'm still like getting fidgety and being weird. It's because I had a bunch of ticks on me, and it takes me a while to like get over that just like, if something's tickling me, what is it? Sort of deal. So I'm gonna go through these questions, and this was a pretty highly rated question. Anything that you wished you would have brought instead of one of your 10 items? And the answer to that is going to be pretty easy. There is not anything. I would not have traded one of my 10 items at any point during my trip out there. I mean, yeah, it would have been nice to have a ration or something, but every item that I brought, I needed really badly, and no matter how hard I tried, I could not figure out a way to get rid of one of my 10 items to bring salt or a ration. Just like, oh, what can I get rid of? And the option for me personally didn't exist. Every item that I had, if I make it long term, I'm gonna need to be able to get through ice, maybe a lot of ice. If it wasn't for ice fishing, I probably could have lived without an axe. But there's ways to get through ice that don't involve an axe. I just had to have it. And it's the same with every other item. It's like, my saw, can I give up my saw? Well, hell no, I can't give up my saw. There's way too much to do with that. Can I give up a sleeping bag? I mean, that's craziness. At this point, I don't think I would have been able to trade still one of my 10 items. Next question. Boy, I'm being a really chatty Cathy here. Sorry about that. Second question. Difficult lawfulness 7 says, physical and mental prep for the show. I assume everyone has years of survival experience, but is there anything extra you do before leaving for the show? There's a lot of physical stuff I did. I gained a lot of weight to the point where I couldn't really gain anymore, because I just couldn't fit any more into my body. And I still was very light. I was 80 pounds lighter than, more than that, than some people that were out there. So, but I did what I could, and I was happy that I put that extra weight on. Before you leave for the show, you want to make sure that all your ducks are in a row at home. And I'd made sure all that was resolved, like everything. I laid there in bed and thought, what is something that I might be thinking about when I get out there? And it's going to be nagging me, and anything that feels sort of unresolved. And I made sure to address all those before I got out there. And that worked good. I was pretty content when it comes to like unresolved problems at home. So that's what I did. That's one mental preparation I did. Obviously I did some other stuff, like scouring books about wild edibles and foraging stuff. I learned some new techniques to catch fish that I'd never caught in my life up there. You'll see how that works out. So another thing I did to prepare was got sort of unaddicted to caffeine. By the drop-off day, I could not handle a cup of coffee. Like, it would make me jittery. I'd become a jittery mess. So what I did was slowly weaned myself off coffee, and by the last day, I don't think drop-off day I even had any coffee at all. But if I did, it would have been like a cup of hot water with just like a beep, just a little bit of coffee, just to get a little hit of caffeine. But by the time launch came, I had no addictions to caffeine at all. I did make a dumb mistake of taking, like, you know, those little Zyn nicotine pouches. So brought some of those with me on the plane to get out there, and I did, honest, if I'm being completely honest, I had some of those at that base camp. So I went to survive on Alone, addicted to nicotine, which was idiotic, but it didn't take much at all to, like, I never even thought about nicotine when I was out there. There was too much after drop off. There was way too much other stuff to think about, and so that it really wasn't a problem. I think a smoker, a full-blown smoker, could probably go out there and detox off nicotine actually pretty easy. I mean, I wouldn't recommend doing that, but I bet you could, because you're so focused on, like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to live? I got to go get water. I got to boil it. Then I got to let it cool and drink it. And then I probably got to get more, because that's not enough water while I've been busting my ass. And then you got all the hunting, the fishing, and various other problems to try to solve. Every single damn thing out there is a challenge. And the last thing you need to be doing is worrying about, like, addictions. So I sort of did it, and it was fine, but it was a terrible idea. I don't recommend doing that. So the next question, Papa Mau Mau. Papa Mau Mau. I don't have many questions that wouldn't be spoilers or that you could answer. Just wanted to say thanks. It's always really cool to have contestants here. Oh, I appreciate that. Food that you missed or craved the most out there. I craved a lot of things, but I cut myself off carbohydrates before I went out there, so I didn't, and I still craved carbs bad, but a juicy, dripping, greasy ass hamburger I craved a lot out there. And oddly enough, fruit snacks is something I really, really craved. And I thought about glazed donuts a lot. There was a weird like spot on the side of my bed up there that I would rub on, and every once in a while, if I rubbed it right, I don't know if it was moss or what, but if I rubbed it the wrong way right, fucking focus, man. If I rubbed it like perfectly, it smelled just like glazed donuts. And every night I would, like, shimmy a little bit in my bed, and I'd get one big hint of glazed donuts, and I'm like, oh my God, that smells freaking good. And so glazed donuts I ended up craving, which I haven't had in years. I never let myself eat donuts. After I left, I ate donuts, and they were freaking good, man. Damn, do you appreciate food when you're out there. Like, I can't get too much deeper into this without giving some spoilers, because we don't appreciate food very much when we're out here in the real world, but I'll tell you what, you appreciate it out there. And you think about it in some weird ways. But I'm gonna move on to the next question before I start dropping spoilers, because I could talk a lot about that. Oh, yes, I can answer part of this. It's kind of cut off in my picture. Does production have rules about how much time you have to film each day? Do you think it's difficult, or does it feel unnatural to be talking so much to the camera? And last but most important, when you really feeling alone, does the camera feel like a connection to the world or your loved ones? Would you feel any differently if there wasn't a camera? Sorry, that was kind of cut off and I struggled to read it, but I got it. And that actually is a really good question. So Exotic Eagle, I take that back. That is a damn good question. And I plan to answer it. So, does production have rules about how much time you have to film each day? To be honest, the more you film, the better. The better it's going to be for everybody. Like, the more you film, the more people are going to be able to watch what you're doing, and the more your actual story is going to be shown. So if you're smart, you're going to film a lot. And you're going to film a lot probably because of the next part of this question. Do you think it's difficult, or does it feel unnatural to be talking so much to the camera? And when you're really feeling alone, does the camera feel like a connection to the world? Yeah. The camera is like all you have. Like, it is all you have. The camera's like it. You're out there grinding day in and day out, and the only comfort is knowing that somebody actually is gonna see this. You're alone, but you're not really alone because there's so many damn people that are gonna watch it. And the camera is all you have. I mean, sure, you could talk like that to a rock, but you're never gonna hear any response about that from the rock. But with the camera, it really is comforting and exciting knowing that if you're in a tricky situation, documenting it and having the camera there with you makes you feel absolutely less alone, 100%. That's for sure. And it's what gives you that little extra edge to push maybe a little bit harder. The camera is a boost for morale every day, even if it's really starts sucking to have to deal with it. The camera is your only friend out there. Well, there could be other friends, and you can make friends with all sorts of things out there, but the camera is the only one that listens, because you know behind that camera are millions of eyes. As ridiculous as it sounds while you're out there, like starving and dirty, and your friends are all right there on the other side of that camera. You got to talk to them, and you got to talk to somebody, otherwise you're going to go crazy. A lot of people do go pretty crazy out there. How does your thinking change after not eating for a prolonged time? You get used to what you have out there, and every change in your mentality happens pretty gradually, and so I don't even know how much you notice it. But I gotta tread carefully on that question at the moment, and I'll happily answer that question in depth in the coming months, but I can't right now. Boar asked me, did you know or know of any other contestants prior to the season? I did not know any other contestants prior to the season. I mean, did I know or know of? I mean, I knew of course, all of them, because I watched the show, but I didn't personally know any contestants prior to getting picked for the season. But it's funny, during the casting, eventually you do meet I met some contestants, and I've talked to a lot of them after. Like now I know a lot of contestants. It's pretty exciting. But before I went out there, I didn't know any of them at all, and never talked to them. What's worse, hunger or boredom, says Sky. Hunger sucks, and boredom also sucks, but hunger seems worse than boredom, because if you got to stay busy out there. If you're not like doing things to prepare for the next day, then you're probably doing it wrong, to be honest. There was some boredom, but it's something you're gonna have to see for yourself. Coming soon to the History Channel near you. Did I take time to enjoy the scenery? Apprehensive Paint asked. Yeah, I did. I mean, there was times where I was out like hunting or fishing and I enjoyed the scenery, but did I go on hikes up mountains to like take it all in or anything like that? No, I did not do that. But I enjoyed it always. I mean, I was out in it, and I appreciated it, even though at a certain point you start to take it for granted because you're there all the time. But I always appreciate scenery, and if I were back there right now, looking at it, I would might appreciate it a little differently. Oreo760 says, I think the thing that I always have questions about is, why do contestants always seem to be cutting toward their extremities when carving and cleaning their kills? Is it a confidence thing, or is it a lack of food affecting their thought process? I tried hard to not ever do that. Contestants probably do crazy stuff like that because everybody you get hungry, dehydrated, you might not be getting a lot of sleep, and that's when you make mistakes. I remember watching season 7 toward the end, and Roland was talking about like how you just got to be freaking careful, because the only thing that's gonna send you home is a mistake. And I'd pull my knife out every single time. This is a lot smaller Swiss Army knife than the one I had out there, but every freaking time I'd pull my knife out, I'm like, be freaking careful and pay attention at all times. Caution and safety was a #1 priority for me out there. And every time that I pulled my saw out, I would try to make sure that I was wearing my leather gloves. There was one time, well, I can't get into it, but yeah, I think it's just lack of sleep, hunger, fatigue, dehydration, whatever other drama's going through your head out there. People just screw up and they make simple mistakes because that's what humans do. They make mistakes. But the next question is, SoK Cupid says, what did you think of the area? No spoilers, obviously, but maybe in comparison to your expectations or assumptions based on previous seasons. You never know what the hell it's going to be out there, I think, and it's always a surprise. Like, my spot was probably a lot different than many of the others, but overall the area was about like I researched for, and I liked it. It was an amazing location and I was super happy with it. It's just every spot has their own different challenges, and if I could pick a particular spot to be on over all the seasons that I've seen, I would have chosen a different one probably, but you make do with what you got. So Planty Plant 559 asks, she asked a pretty long question that I can't answer, but I can answer part of it. In your opinion, what do you think is the most important hard skill for a contestant to have? Fire building, construction, foraging, etc. Can't wait for your season. Thanks, Planty Plant. So in my humble opinion, the most important skill to have is kind of to be a jack of all trades. It's kind of a cop-out answer, but not really. Like, you gotta have all those skills. You need to be able to make a fire, and you can't have just learned how to make a fire going out there. That's ridiculous. You need to really know the ins and outs of every freaking aspect of a fire. Should have a very, very good understanding about fishing and basic animal behavior and things like that. Because at the end of the day, 99% of the time, if you're getting protein out there, it's gonna be from fishing. And with some hunts involved and some anomalous, like big game kills and things like that. But be damn good at fishing and learn fish behavior and focus on that. That's one skill, but the construction of a shelter is also pretty damn important. You need to know how to insulate a shelter. How to make a good door for a shelter is pretty important. A good sealed door. I had no specific plan for a shelter or anything like that. I'm gonna go out there, see what the hell I'm dealing with, and then I'm gonna make a decision and just decide and just start building stuff and play it all by ear. And that's kind of what I did for my construction of my shelter. But so yeah, you gotta have a basic, don't go on alone if you don't know how to build the shelter. Don't go on alone if you don't know how to fish. Foraging too, I mean, foraging is pretty important. Yeah, you gotta know how to do all those things. Construction, foraging, fishing, fire building. You better be damn good at all of the above. KG467 says, if you're a regular shampooer in your home life, was there an itch phase for your scalp? And if so, how long did it last? Did you push through it after a while? How long? How about your body? Once it got cold, did you get enough bathing? How long did it take you to stop feeling disgusting? There's a lot of little fishing things you got going on there that I won't be able to answer because I'll give away how long I was there. But yeah, of course I shampoo in regular life, but it's not even really good for your scalp to like shampoo every day. So I remember my head maybe getting a little itchy, but it went away after a little while and I didn't notice it. I mean, my head, by the time I left, it's freaking greasy. It was a grease ball. Man, KG467, you have some good questions, but a lot of them I can't quite answer. This one involves food spoilage. Like, you catch a couple decent sized fish one afternoon, you smoke the fillets, preserve them while making soup from other parts. Yeah, I mean, those are the kind of things that you learn from watching other seasons. Like, you watch people eat fish that have been sitting out for 2 days or have any funk to them at all. I mean, you're better off just using that as bait, because that's a risk. Everything is a risk out there, but there's no sense taking crazy risks like that. I mean, if I have a fish, I just can't get into that any deeper. But good question. Maybe I'll come back to it in my next video after we see some of the show. So here's one I was excited to answer. Yo mama. Yo mama. My daughter asks almost every other episode we watch, but what do they do with their poop? She would be cheesed to get an answer from an actual alone contestant. So what do you do with your poop? I don't know about anybody else, but what I did was, like, make sure it was in a spot where I wouldn't step on it and keep it all confined to one area. You definitely don't want to be pooping all over the place. I didn't go through anything like making a big toilet. Like, I didn't, during boot camp, it's funny, a lot of us were talking about making bushcraft toilets and things like that, jokingly. And I think I can say that. Season 3, they actually showed the boot camp. But yeah, boot camp, a lot of us contestants were talking about making bushcraft toilets and digging holes and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And I mean, you could dig one big hole and just go in that specific spot, but it seemed like a lot of work, and eventually the hole is going to be filled in, and then what? Horse Trunk says, did you put fishes in a shallow, easily accessible water puddle and then get surprised when they went missing? Spoiler alert, no, I didn't do that. Good question. Sullyville asked me a question that, since this is a family YouTube channel, I can't answer, but if I ever run into you like outside of the internet, Sullyville, I'll answer that question for you, but I may or may not have done what your question was out there, and I really kind of want to just answer it, but. Arwata Bill 1. There's a bunch of good questions here, OP. My questions are, first question, I've been applying since season 4, so what's the best way to apply and get noticed? Frankly, honesty is the best policy. Like, these TV producers have gone through thousands of contestants. Like, every year there's so freaking many, and they can smell BS. I guarantee they can smell BS. You're not gonna fool them. Be you, just be you. And you've already eliminated like 99% of the competition. If you don't know what you're doing, you're better off just saying that. You can't fake the funk to these people who've watched thousands and thousands of casting tapes, interviewed literally thousands and thousands of people, because they know what a survivalist is. They know the answers. You're not gonna skate through. What's the most important thing that somebody watching this show wants? They want somebody that's not full of crap. They want somebody that's just them, and make sure that you know what the hell you're doing. There's another pretty important thing. Sparkle Croissant. Do you think your edit is a true reflection of your experience? If not, why not? What would you have liked to be included? What would I have omitted? Well, I can't really say any of that because I'll see the show the same time you guys do. We don't get we don't get to see it ahead of anybody else. I'll be watching on the History Channel just like y'all. I can't really answer your question at all, but I can definitely say that if contestants aren't satisfied with their edits, it's probably because they didn't film enough. So hopefully I didn't do that. I'm sure I filmed quite a bit. KG, here's the question I really liked that KG467 posted. As someone who yourself has been in this sub for years as a watcher and a chatter, what surprised you the most once you got behind the scenes in terms of what we chatters think and assume versus how it actually works? To be honest, Reddit is actually pretty in the know compared to a lot of other places I've been. Like if somebody asked a question and another person answers it and that gets upvoted a lot, usually the most upvoted question is, or the most upvoted answer is actually pretty close to the right answer. So you guys know quite a bit about how the show actually works, and you're almost right most of the time. But here's a something, a tidbit I know you're gonna like. Basically exactly what you think it is. Like there's no cheating involved. They really do, they go through everything. They are awesome. They never ever tell you what to do, what to say, anything like that. They want you being completely you, being honest in everything, and try not to affect you at all out there. The experience that you see on TV is literally the experience. There's never ever a time where there's a producer behind the camera saying, do this, it'll be good on TV. That does not happen on the show. And it is what makes Alone the absolute best, the best survival, probably the best reality television show ever, because it is exactly what it's shown to be. It's freaking awesome. The producers are amazing. Every person involved with the show is phenomenal. I could sit here all day and talk about how great each one of them individually is, but what you see is what you get out there. Alone is the real deal, man. And the producers are top quality. Any television show in the history of mankind, you're never gonna find more of a straight up, honest thing than what Alone is. And it's why Alone's been able to creep to the top of survival reality TV, more so than any other ones that have any sort of trickery in them. Alone has no trickery. It's you out there grinding away. All right, I appreciate you guys' really good questions. I'm gonna answer a lot more as the season moves on. And a lot of questions were really, really good that you asked, but I just can't drop spoilers. And without saying how long I lasted, I can't accurately give you a good answer. But I promise, the more of the show that's released, the more depth I can give in my answers. And there's a lot more videos I have planned. So, but appreciate you guys watching, and it's good to be able to finally answer some questions